in here is a picture that made me laugh so hard when I saw it. I flipped through this. I want to find, there's one that I have to assume that you took, that I am naked. This is back when I felt comfortable with my nudity. And I am naked, tan, wearing a baseball cap, and doing a pose like this.
Oh my god.
And it is in here. I can't believe it.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast. This is your weekly podcast that delivers a minute-by-minute breakdown of the 1986 Transformers movie. We are covering episode 25. That starts at the 24:01 minute mark and ends
This is episode 24.
at the...
No, it's not.
Is it not? This is 25?
Don't
oh,
do
no.
this. Don't do
I
this.
mislabeled it. Oh, God. Because I had something I was going to say for episode 25. It's a silver anniversary episode.
Well, no, this is it.
This is it.
Well, God damn it. Sorry to interrupt.
Joining me to my right, the DJ Jazzy Jeff to my Fresh Prince.
Wicka, wicka, wicka. I am Ryan.
And to his right, to continue the metaphor, are Ready Roxy or
That's
Charlie Mack, depending on your preference.
Booyah!
Booyah.
That is not either of their taglines.
I don't know
Do
who
they
they
have
are.
them?
I don't know who
You
they
don't know
are.
who Ready Rock... I thought you were a fan of the Fresh Prince, the Too Damn Hype posse.
Too
Well, I
damn
didn't-
hype, too damn hype.
I didn't know he had additional people in his posse.
He names them in one song, I think.
Well, there's some of them... He has several songs that are about specific people in his posse outside of
Well,
himself.
I don't know who Bebop and
So-
Rocksteady are.
Ready Roxy is the human beatbox in the
Okay.
group. These are your choices. Ready Roxy, the human beatbox, or Charlie Mack, who is like he's the first out the limo. He's the toughest. He's the toughest guy in the crew, and so he's kind of their bouncer security guy.
I think that for the podcast, like I should do a beatbox, but I really want to be that guy that's coming out of the
It's a lot
limo.
cooler.
Yeah.
All right,
It seems like a real hanger-on.
they had enough respect to write an entire song. About
guess.
it, so.
Rewind.
So before we get into it, guys, I have a shout out of thanks to iTunes reviewer Kyle Benning41, aka on Twitter. You could follow him at DConsRetreat. But so he gave us a little 5-star iTunes review.
Nice.
And as the header on that is Grimlock loves this podcast more than Petro Rabbits.
That's a pretty good cut.
And the comment he left: an entertaining, informative, and hilarious look at the fantastic Transformers animated movie from 1986, 1 minute at a time. Highly recommend. 5 stars.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yes,
awesome.
absolutely. He on Twitter at DConsRetreat. He's a great tweeter and retweeter of a lot of great Transformers content, including ours.
That's
So-
awesome. That kind of a little goes a long way. We get some kind of
It really
feedback.
does help.
It kind of helps my whole week.
We are proud to count you among our listeners. If anybody else would like to pat us on the back and help stroke our ego, please feel
We need
free to do so. Last episode, we had our friend Cuban B in the house to cover it. He's
Cuban
gone
B from-
forever. If you hated that experience, don't worry, people. It'll never happen again.
We killed him.
We murdered him. The heroic leader, Optimus Prime, he turned the tide. The cowardly cons have hopped the last train to Spacetown.
How long did you work on that?
It's been about 5 minutes.
Pretty good.
We've taken a drastic, somber shift in tone, and basically we're in what amounts to Autobot City's ICU, where Prime's body is being examined by Perceptor.
Yeah, and this is a tough one, like on a comedy podcast. It's hard. These next 2 episodes are pretty rough.
It's gonna be
First of all, calling us a comedy podcast is presumptuous.
I think that I would classify it as a comedy podcast.
what kind of podcast are we?
Are we funny?
In my mind,
Okay,
I don't know.
Fair enough.
I don't want to get too metaphysical about what comedy is.
And so we've promised no jokes this entire episode.
Yeah, none at all.
No jokes. Okay, kicking it off.
See how quickly we can blow that.
We have to respect this moment.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only one we had to respect.
Okay.
We can move on. So at the right of the beginning, Perceptor, he's looking at Prime, as we said. He transforms into robot mode, and he says a line. Ryan, have you got a Perceptor impression?
I fear the wounds are fatal.
And the look of sadness in his face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very it's pretty expressive, and then he looks down, and in this whole scene, especially with it coming up on Cup at 24:13, they do a really good job of making them look distressed and upset, and it's like it's pretty rough.
Yeah,
The music totally adds to it.
Definitely. So as that happens, he's sad. He delivers the line, and everybody, there's a moment of kind of quiet. I don't know what you just quiet sadness, reflection. Hot Rod, Magnus, RC, and Cup, and Daniel. He's in tears. He says, "Prime, you can't die." And Prime tries to kind of, I don't want to bring a positive light to the experience. He's obviously tired, battered. This whole
he's dying
sequence of the squinting and the struggling vocal cords and everything. It's
and then his eyes like kind of glow and dim. And
we've said it time and time again. You haven't seen this before in the show. And maybe ever in terms of kids.
Yeah, I don't know if this has ever been like it's again. I don't know how the producers could not know this would be upsetting. Like, that fucking robots. Who gives a shit? It's a kids show. I don't know, but I'm like, how could you not know this would be upsetting? Because again, and I can't think of any other kids show where you see someone who you've seen for seasons die.
This isn't your first impersonation of the producers. Did the Mafia make this movie?
Yeah, we fucking made it. I don't care. Give me a cannoli.
Okay.
Oh, that's offensive.
Coming at you now.
I'd wager most, at least the Italian mafia probably eats cannolis.
Sure.
All right.
And loves Transformers.
Absolutely.
Leave the gun, take the cannoli.
So the complexity of his expression is amazing. The texture of the bruised, cracked metal, amazing.
Dense.
And
just polish it out. It'd be okay.
Speaking of this is the first time we've ever heard any mention of the Matrix.
Yes, I have that too. Yes, at 24:26, he says, "Soon I shall be one with the Matrix," which is in the cartoon is the first mention of it. It's been in the comics a lot, but yeah.
Prior to this, it was in the comics.
Yes. Bob Budiansky, actually, I have a lot in the next episode, but he came up with the idea of the creation matrix.
I think I have a little post-show note on it as well.
So was there a good chance that a lot of people watching this were like,
yeah.
Of course they're going to find out. They're going to find out real quick. What the
and again, I think
is.
I didn't see this until I don't know. I don't think I saw. I think I must have seen season 3 before I saw the movie because I don't remember the Matrix being weird, or maybe it's just a thing where you're like, oh,
it makes sense.
As a kid, you're just rolling with it.
Yeah. I think that's probably correct. It pops out of his It pops out of his chest, and it makes sense that it's some sort of life force or something that's important.
Yeah,
right. It's easy to pick up on, or they do a great job of selling that.
Yeah.
So Hot Rod's in shock, Prime, and Prime goes on to say, "Ultra Magnus, it is to you, old friend. I'm going to pass the matrix of leadership as it was passed to me." Continued squinting and flickering of eyeball lights, making me sadder by the moment.
Which Ultra Magnus, I mean, in hindsight, given what we know about season 3, totally solid choice. Like much better choice than because eventually in season 3 he kind of is the de facto leader, day-to-day operations, and Rodimus is more of like a diplomat character who also is not great. Like I remember watching something on YouTube. It was a review, and I'll put it up on the page. But like a guy who was going over what is good and bad about Rodimus, and one of the things where there's an episode where Springer goes through essentially what is the Bone Crusher from Nothing But Trouble, and gets ground up, and Rodimus's reaction is, ugh, gross.
Instead of taking a leadership
Yeah,
position,
he's like, this is bumming me out.
help his friend.
Ew.
And I'm sure we'll have especially towards the end of the movie when he becomes Rodimus Prime to talk about that. But Ultra Magnus claims he's not worthy. He's just a soldier.
He's humble.
And I don't know why he seems so shocked, though. I mean, he's basically second in command. He's in charge of this city.
He's also a truck.
He's also always, obviously, it's a stipulation because Rodimus becomes a truck.
Well,
but at that point,
maybe he's playing it down. I mean,
maybe so. Or maybe you just have to have a trailer. That's
he's
what
like,
it is.
I'm not worthy.
Maybe so.
Hands motioning towards.
It was just like he's obviously in the line of succession.
Yeah, it's not a shot.
So when Prime dies, does Ultra Magnus get to keep Prime's trailer?
I think it goes with him into the pocket universe.
The what?
A pocket universe is like the theory of why, like, you can have like a trailer come out of nowhere, or like you can like a bag of holding where things just go into a realm where you can pull it out at any time.
I think it's just his trailer's always just
outside,
sitting off camera.
So yeah,
Nope.
It comes out.
It's way more complicated than that.
You don't even understand all the
I
quantum filaments.
I want to think that Ultra Magnus on his day off is just like, I think I'm gonna drive around with Optimus's trailer today, just for.
Like he inherited it. Like in the
He
last
inherited the Matrix.
Ultra Magnus, the Matrix is yours. Also, if you wanted my trailer, or you could sell it.
I'm not worthy, Prime, but can I have your trailer?
It's really cool.
It is to you,
really
old
cool.
friend.
That roller thing.
That we saw in Autopod 1 episode.
That would be
pretty
cool.
sweet.
I would love to see Ultra Magnus just riding around with Prime's trailer.
Would it be hooked up in the back or loaded up onto his car carrier?
Ooh, a double trailer situation.
Or like a tandem. Like he just pulls it around behind the other trailer.
Yeah.
Or maybe he stacks it on top.
Right.
Or maybe he pushes it around in front of him.
Excellent. Magnus is, he's having some perhaps false modesty, but I think he's really being modest.
Yeah.
And Prime continues to struggle with the words to console Ultra Magnus. Ultra Magnus says he's not worthy. Prime says, nor was I. But one day an Autobot shall rise from our ranks, and that's where we have to awkwardly stop talking about the episode, because that's where the minute ends.
It is like at 24:45 to 50, like the voice work is pretty awesome. It's like the battle of the deep gravelly voices, and it's I really enjoyed that. And then when 24:52, where he like
the eyes are glowing.
Yeah, that's what. And then where Ultra Magnus takes Prime's hand. I mean, it's pretty touching. Like it's a very tender moment.
Yeah.
And again, we brought this up many times, but I watched the part where Duke in G.I. Joe the movie gets hit with the snake.
Yeah.
And it is totally obvious they like re-edited this so that he's not dead. Like he's dead in that scene. He's dead, and then off camera, right after like he dies, they go, he's gone into a coma.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
they overdubbed it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they did. It is like I'm like, oh sure, you just know that based on no information or medical knowledge.
They say that on the battlefield?
Yes. They say it right after he passes out, and they're like, he's been, and it cuts to you're looking at him, and then they just go, he's in a coma, but nobody's mouth is moving.
That's funny. He was stabbed in the heart.
Directly.
With a poisonous snake spear.
So, one memory I have of this that takes me back to our childhood is that the first time I watched this movie, it was definitely after season 3 had started. So I guess I was familiar maybe with the concept of the Matrix, because I think maybe they refer to it, or I can't remember if Rodimus pulls it out at some point. Certainly, it becomes part of the story.
Gesture when he pulled it out.
But so the first time I saw this, 8 or 9 at your house, and so picture us, we're innocent 8-9-year-olds, and this scene is happening. And my memory is that when Prime and Ultra Magnus have this conversation, and Prime says, I'll pass it on as pass to me, I'm not worthy, I'm just a soldier. And Prime says, nor was I. You said, that's bullshit.
I don't remember that.
You were too worthy, Prime.
God.
And you were very passionate about it. And I tried to explain at least what I thought was happening in the moment was that Prime was just saying, no, Prime just means he wasn't worthy
at the
when
time.
he got it. And you were like, no way, he was always worthy.
Oh my
you were very mad that Prime wouldn't take credit for his.
You were probably emotional at that point, and
I've always been emotionally unstable, so I mean, maybe I was dealing with my own shit.
he was always worthy. I was
Just
always
like
worthy,
me.
just like me.
Like me, Dad.
Why couldn't I be worthy of your love and affection, Mommy?
Maybe talk to me once in a while. I don't care.
And one thing I meant to mention, actually, when we were talking earlier about the voice work on this, is that back to our conversation about Robert Stack and how he felt uncomfortable. He was really nervous about
He'd never
doing
done
this.
voice
He
work.
just, like, kills it.
Oh, yeah, he crushes
He
it.
is so good.
He's killing it.
But anyway, okay, so that's the end of the episode. I don't have any voice actors, but
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say just a quick thing, like at 24:59, where we're kind of the shot where we're watching him die. It's basically he has said, I think that's he has no more lines. I'm not sure if I'm right about that, but
We'll finish it in the next episode.
yeah. But I mean, I was wondering if either of you have ever seen anyone die.
No.
Me neither.
I have never, nor have I been in a room like
Where someone is in the process of dying.
Well, I have. I mean, I went and visited my grandmother a year or two ago, and she was in the hospital, and she died a week later.
Yeah.
So she was in the process of dying, but I wasn't. But I was not around, like in
During
the
the-
hospital
yeah.
when she actually passed away.
Yeah, I've never even been that close to it. It's always been like.
I mean, maybe I've been in a room where someone died in the other room and I just didn't know it.
Well, and then the obvious end of this sentence is I just blow my brains out.
You don't have to do that because I was in the room when my grandmother died.
Oh, I think you've told me that before.
It was I was the only one in there. And
Really?
She may not have officially. Well, I might not have been the only one in there when she officially died, but yeah, she was in hospice at where my sister lives now. But there was hospice care. They took her from the hospital to there, to basically. You'd expect she maybe had a couple more days or whatever. But like right when I show up, I go in to see her, and she's like she was out, out, but she was breathing, but she had really bad pneumonia at the time, along with some other things. And as she's breathing, you could hear all this gurgling because her lungs were filling up with liquid.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, the gurgling just stopped.
Oh God.
And I went to the room and I told her, I was like, I think she's gone or is about to be. And everybody went in there, and there was no gurgling anymore at that point.
Did they pronounce her at that point, or?
I mean, we all stayed around for a while. I mean, it was my mom/sister's house at the time, and I mean the hospice people, I can't remember, whoever came and got her and took her away, I assume one of them probably made the call or whatever. But
Did she?
it's weird.
She turned completely gray.
Did she give you the matrix of leadership?
We went two different directions.
I thought you were going to ask if she shit her pants.
Well, see, I was trying to be a little bit respectful. I'm not going to ask you.
Did she though?
I'm not going to ask you
Because-
if your grandmother shit her pants when she died.
No, she wasn't talking. She was unconscious.
I would have
She did
said
not-
I would have said shit the bed, because she probably didn't have pants on.
Which I guess. I'm just now realizing that term "shit the bed" that must mean dying, because like that's a term for like when something fucks up. So yeah, that makes sense now. There's the etymology of that term.
We've all learned.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
So actually, go ahead.
Do you think Prime, when he dies here, he shits the bed?
It's just motor oil spills out over the. That seems like it would take away from the emotional impact if they just showed like it's totally silent and you just hear dripping and you see motor oil pooling and antifreeze.
So there was an episode of Robot Chicken, and they used Transformers a lot in some of their skits. And there was one where I can't remember the details. Prime was in a hospital.
Yes.
He was dying, and when he died, he transformed into a coffin.
It was pretty great.
But so, our friend Kyle Benning asked, this might be, hopefully this is a good translation of a bit of input or an idea for a segment on the show, where, I mean, I think each minute probably has, I mean, this movie is so iconic to each of us, and each minute within each minute probably has what we would feel is like the most iconic moment, whether it's an illustrative element or a line or
each minute has at least one gem.
Like one.
has at least one gem, and we might all have different opinions
Yeah.
on what that gem is. For this minute, what would you say your gem is?
I mean, I don't know if it's biased by the fact we're staring at minute 24:59. I was always struck by the fact that his face mask is uneven in that.
How it's dented.
Yeah. Other than that, I think probably the whole thing where Ultra Magnus takes Prime's hand, I think, is the moment for me in this one.
Mine's just it's just realizing that he's gonna die, and then his behavior on the table there, on the slab, how he's just talking and wincing and like suffering,
right?
Suffering in a way that I'd never seen in cartoons before.
Yeah,
and I'm impressed how they can maintain that. How they can render that emotion without with having half of his face concealed,
right?
Which I think is pretty.
And I think that goes to the voice work of Peter Cullen.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And the animators. I mean, the eye thing.
True.
Is,
the squint.
The
squinting.
They throw it all into his eyes, and they throw it into the damage on him, and the music.
They went the extra mile.
All of it. It's just a big.
The music in this scene and the next scene are very good. Like, they're very good choices by the composer, and they really heighten the whole thing.
All the other characters look very. I mean, obviously they're supposed to look very clean in contrast. But they look very. They look very. They went to a lot of work to illustrate Prime damage. Like that. I mean, they took.
That's not easy. All that.
No,
detail.
they took a lot of care into doing that. So.
They're like, we really want all those children to have.
God, I'm just trying to imagine
suffering.
going into being a kid watching this in the screen.
I can't imagine seeing this in the theater after season 2.
If I was a parent, I would have been kind of uncomfortable. I would have been like, I mean,
What the fuck?
No,
is
like,
happening?
it was PG.
I wasn't seeing this.
That's right, because of the word shit.
So yeah, I think you guys have covered a lot of things. I think to your point, Caleb, like the music or the shift in tone and music and was, I mean, perfect for setting the tone of the scene. And so I'll just go with the music in general on that. So, okay, as I was saying earlier, transitioning.
Sure.
I don't have a voice actor, but I did think we would take a moment to talk about Wally Burr. You maybe have heard me bring him up before. He was the voice director for Transformers and G.I. Joe. And he actually passed away this year. But I just thought I'd get that out of the gate. But according to the TF Wiki, so he was a super, and actually, if you listen to the special features, the commentary on the 30th anniversary edition, they talk a lot about it as well. But so he was a perfectionist, and he was known for super exhaustive voice straining recording sessions. And so back in these times, the Screen Actors Guild essentially had an 8-hour maximum time for these sessions, just for the health of their vocal cords or whatever.
Right.
But most times it would usually max out around 4 hours, because really 8 hours is even
That's pretty.
considered
8 hours
too
of
much.
constant voice
Yeah, can you
recording.
imagine?
That's that's
doing
rough.
Starscream for 8 hours.
Oh my god.
But Wally Burr didn't give a fuck about all
Oh,
that.
jeez.
He
Fuck all that.
He was known for continually prolonging sessions to the 8-hour max, no matter what, even if there wasn't really a good
So he
reason
was like,
for it.
8 hours is the rule. We're gonna do 8 hours.
We got 8 hours. I'm gonna take 8 hours.
So in fact, it was this habit of his that it said was there was an animation voice artist strike in 1987, and so this practice of his, and maybe a few others, but it was a major contributor to that. I mean, they wanted better pay and all that kind of stuff as well. But so they went on strike, and ultimately that was granted that 4 hours max was their day. Along
So they shortened it. They cut it in half.
They cut it in half. Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
Good old Wally 8 hour.
So
Wally 8-hour Burr.
exactly.
Wally 8 hour.
So the guy who did the voice of Sideswipe, Michael Bell, he joked that Burr's labor practices were responsible for Orson Welles' death.
Oh no!
But
He talked him to death.
I'm sure that Orson Welles was bossed around.
No, he was
no kidding.
also 100% healthy before he went in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Let's
Right.
not forget.
But there's a lot of actors who had some choice words for Burr and the labor practices, and some have actually backpedaled from it after his death, and even while he was alive. But at the end of the day, despite what people felt about that, I think that the results are pretty conclusive, because while the writing and the animation sometimes get a lot of shit on this show, nobody ever has anything bad to say about the acting and the performances. And I mean, they are always amazing. And so he was a hard ass, but he got results.
They always deliver. So just think about that, everybody. Beat your kids, and they will become wonderful singers, just like the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
So
Take that coal and press it into a diamond.
he also was a voice actor in his time, but most of his credits are actually around voice directing. Most of his voice acting credits were incidental characters or filling in for voice actors when they couldn't be
passed
there.
out from exhaustion.
Oh man, that'd be so great if in the episode it's going, hey, how are you doing? I'm fine. It's just a switch because he didn't want to re-record it.
Get out of my way.
So he did fill in for. It would be interesting to know which episodes we could kind of see if that's the case. So Jazz, Ratchet, Sea Spray, Thundercracker, and he vocalized Kremzeek. Remember Kremzeek?
No.
The little flamey, annoying character.
Oh, was that like the spark looking thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a real weird one.
What the hell is that?
It was a weird.
Was it
like
a Transformer?
No, it was some weird
an alien or
fantasy
something,
entity.
yeah.
It's a very
Was it like the
strange
kazoo of the Transformers?
Kinda.
But evil and wasn't real. It was sentient, but it wasn't.
God.
It just caused a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I need to watch.
Interesting.
I need to watch all these episodes. In addition to Transformers and G.I. Joe, he also voice directed the Visionaries, Spider-Man that was around at that time, Rainbow Bright, Gem, Inspector Gadgets, and Humanoids,
Oh,
Hong
busy
Kong
boy.
Phooey, Dino Riders, Captain Caveman, and a 1989 dub of the movie Akira. He was
wow.
in charge of that.
Well, that's a big deal.
So that's Wally Burr in a nutshell.
And he died this year.
That is correct.
Okay. He's dead. Prime is dead.
Everybody is dead.
We're all going to die.
No Prime. Well, I guess
Well, he's not dead.
Colin's still
Yeah.
alive.
That's right. Oh God.
I hope that doesn't happen while we're recording this.
Oh no.
I just got an alert on my phone.
Oh no. So you guys know what time it is?
What?
Rip deviations.
I'm the beatbox guy. Shit the bed.
So, okay, Ryan. Mm-hmm. What you got?
There are not a huge amount in this one. There are some really significant ones in the next one, so everybody is a little taste there. But in this one, and I think this is a good choice, I understand that Perceptor is supposed to be analytical and scientific, but his lines in the original script, whenever he transforms, he says, "His wounds are mortal. Soon his life maintenance system will self-extinguish and all function will cease for eternity."
Wow.
I'm like, you're doing a lot of extra.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you gotta add for eternity.
That's the opposite on my version of the script.
Really? What do
In
you
my
have?
version of the script,
He
Perceptor
dead.
can't. No, in my version, he can't even finish the line. He says, "I fear the wounds are," and then it just trails off. He can't bring himself to
Wow.
say anything. So
they kind
that's
of
the
went,
full spectrum.
yeah,
of what
they
could
went
happen.
for the middle
They
ground.
did.
Once again, I applaud their work on that because I think they made the right choice.
The only other thing that is a little different is Optimus Prime's speech. He has more in the next minute. At this one, whenever he is passing the Matrix to Ultra Magnus, he says, "You and I battled the Decepticon hordes across the corridors of time itself. I know you'll continue that struggle." Sags gasps, hanging on. "My life spark. Transfer the spark."
Wow, it's heavy.
So it sounds like they hadn't completely solidified the concept of the Matrix
No, it's
yet?
very different here, yeah. And is again more in the next episode. But yeah, this is in the world of the movie and the season 3. The idea of the spark is only in this script and doesn't come into the canon until Beast Machines.
So I think yours must be before mine. I don't know why we haven't done the research on this, because mine definitely makes mention of the Matrix. But the only other thing I have is that the script mentions, and I can't remember if we talked about this last episode, but the script mentions that Prime is on a, quote, improvised platform with a profusion of electricity discharging tubes and, quote, plasma bottles hooked up to his arms and gaping middle wound. And clearly on the screen, it doesn't really appear improvised at all.
Or that anything is connected to him.
And there's nothing connected to him.
There's a machine that's taking readings.
Yeah,
there is
presumably.
something.
Well,
I guess it's Bluetooth,
that's
because
the
there's
thing,
nothing hooked up to
Something's
him.
monitoring.
It is wireless as opposed to everything else in this movie, which has to connect to a weird device.
If he's got Bluetooth health monitoring, why couldn't Soundwave Bluetooth that video?
I'm glad that they didn't have a bunch of tubes and stuff.
I think
it
that
would have been distracting from the moment.
I agree. Also,
kind of leave him pure.
You didn't need him to get it.
Right,
No.
yeah, you get it. That's simplified.
All right. Well, next episode is a very heavy, yet sort of content light episode.
I actually have a lot.
Okay, well, I guess content in terms of what happens on screen.
Right.
But I will say a torch will be passed. However, temporarily.
A bed will be shit in.
I'm glad, and this is definitely we kept with, there will be no jokes in this episode.
It's like impossible.
I know.
All right, everybody, please listen to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. Tune in. Does anybody listen on TuneIn?
I don't know.
Shout out and tell us if you listen on TuneIn. That was Caleb's idea, if you think that was stupid.
Wow, just threw
I'm throwing it wherever I can. I mean,
follow us on our social media as well, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all of them at Autopod Decepticast. And then, of course, there's our web presence at autopoddecepticast.com.
Definitely go to the website, guys. Put a lot of extraneous video on our website, on the episode show, because, just tangential things we mention is fun. And I put a lot of neat stuff there, guys.
If you are an iTunes user, rate and subscribe.
Yes, please. 5 stars.
Bye, everyone.
bye.
Bye.
Like, yep, I gotta go. I mean, it's not easy. Certainly not easy work, but it's hard to sell to Andy. Like, I'm gonna go play the piano at the gig tonight. Hard work at the office tonight.
Yeah, but it is work. I mean,
Oh God, yeah. And I made the mistake of I smoked some pot between the first and second set. The whole band.
that was the second set.
The whole band did. So, and I said to the drummer, and these guys are all in their upper 60s.
Oh, Jesus.
And they smoke pot all the time. And I said to the drummer goes, "Oh, I got too high." We're all in the parking lot, and the other guy, the lead singer, smokes some, and he walks up after, and he smokes, and then after a minute, I look over him, and he's going for like a minute. And,
Well, that's not a good face to see.
and then I go, "Yeah, I'm pretty high too," and the drummer goes, as long as everybody's stoned together, it'll be fine. And that's typically how it works. If you're the one sober guy, well, the worst is if you're the one high guy playing with the sober
What was
people.
that gig?
That is not good.
I can't remember if you played it or just went to a concert where, did you do like a lot of acid and then run away or something?
I played at a festival where I was just in the mood to try whatever came my way, and I took.
This is kind of hot for me.
I'm not sure what I took, but at the time I was looking around for mushrooms, and I asked this guy that I know, and he said, "I've got these, and they're pills, little white pills."
Super.
And he goes,
Unlabeled.
and he made a point to tell me, "Hey, just to let you know, these are kind of in the experimental phase." And I was like, "Sure." So
Why not?
I think it was.
You've sold me, sir.
I think it was either. I think actually it was probably something more along the lines of ecstasy or MDMA or something. Normally I don't hallucinate. I thought I was a Native American that night. I was howling at the moon.
Oh my god.
I got myself driving around in a golf cart and I hit a tree.
Yes, I remember.
I hit a stump.
How'd you get a golf cart?
I was playing, so I had access to
Jesus.
the equipment. So I was driving and I saw Jim Ray. They were down kind of in some trees, camped out, and I started driving over to them, and I guess I just didn't. I thought I saw a path, but it wasn't. My eyes were messed. I couldn't see things, so I got it high centered on a stump.
Did they help you?
They helped me get it off, and then they turned me around and sent me.
Go away.
I couldn't find my tent. I found Wolf.
Jason Wolf?
No, the younger.
Oh, Glenn?
Glenn. And I was so happy to find him. I was kind of like.
Any port in a storm.
Yeah, and he was. And I said, I need help finding my tent. And he took me to these tents. I knew.
He just took you to a tent.
One of them was my tent. Well, he didn't know what my tent was.
Sure.
It was dark. I could not process which one of the tents was mine. So I got back to my truck, which I was really also and I just laid down in the bed of my truck and tried to sleep it off. And then I did what I usually did when I played that Love Fest, would not get any sleep. Mm-hmm. And the first instinct at 8 in the morning when it got light, I'm going to drive to Aaron's house.
I think I do remember this now.
I need to go crash somewhere.
Jesus
I want to go
Christ.
home like this.
That sounds nightmarish.
Where
to
was
me.
I living at this time?
This was going to be. This would have been 2004 and summer of 2004 and summer of 2005.
Okay.
The year we got married was 2004, and then we had moved to St. Louis, and then I drove back down for this festival.
Okay.
And then I drove back to St. Louis. I was a mess.
We're lucky you're here.
I mean,
recording today.
That's a whole separate issue.
Has nothing to do with
That's
Love
just
Fest. Well, are you gentlemen ready?
yeah.
You want some headphones or?
I didn't bring any.